All right, welcome everybody to the Trade Like the Pros student highlight session for today. My name is Dion Pouncil, and today we're going to be highlighting Victor O'Keefe. I don't want to mispronounce your traditional first name if you want to use
Okay.
that.
Victor is my first legal name, actually. That's my middle name, so you're good.
Okay, cool. All right, great. So I'm going to give Victor some time to get ready to introduce himself and just share a
Mhm.
little bit about himself. And then I'm going to ask him, a couple of questions to just kind of get some insight on his journey and really just using this as not only just kind of like a testimony to be able to encourage everybody on their journey, but also highlighting the students who are willing to share their wins and their highlights because everybody has their own journey. Everybody's going at their own pace. Everybody has different experiences and different lessons that they could share with the community about how they got from where they were to where they are. Okay,
Mhm.
so without further ado, please, Victor, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Victor K, and I I live out here in Dallas, Texas. I live in Prosper, Texas, actually, the DFW Metroplex. And you know, I I'm an IT professional. Okay. I had a career in engineering. Started out as an engineer and found myself in the project management space, and then became a Scrum Master and an Agile coach, and that's my background, And ever since I've been working and just trying to climb the corporate ladder, I realized that I needed something extra, especially as we're coming into the pandemic season. I realized that I needed to do something for myself, plan my own life in the future by myself, and just take responsibility. And that actually led me into trading financial instruments, because I don't think I'm business savvy. So I couldn't think of starting up any business, as it were, but I could trade. I could make money by myself, and build my own portfolio by myself, whatever it is that I want to do over time. But I never really had so much experience with respect to investing or trading and all of that. The closest I came was, maybe trading a few stocks, but nothing that was going to generate money for me. It was more long-term play until I actually came across Dion here, and I can say that that has actually changed my life, in very tremendous ways. Okay, I'll stop there.
All right, glad to hear. Glad to hear. I appreciate it. You got your PMP?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, yeah, my mom is a
I know,
Scrum Master project manager. Okay,
I know,
yeah, because y'all
I know,
talked about a couple things.
I know,
Okay,
I know.
yeah, that's cool. Okay, so some of the things that he called out there, he wanted to bet on himself. He wanted to create additional sources of income, and he wanted to go into things that highlighted some of his strengths, right? And then also knowing himself, right? Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody can't be X, Y, and Z. And so he had a conversation with himself, sat down with himself, and say, "Hey, what are things that I can do that I could bet on myself, and I can put myself in a position to win based off of my strengths?" And he chose trading, right? And in his mind, he believed that he could be successful in trading first. As I always tell you all, it starts in your mind first, and then he sought out. Now, how did you come across me, Victor?
Yeah, very good question. You had a one of your private clients back in the day is one of my very close friends, and she's actually my wife's friend, actually, and
Okay.
just got talking. I'm quite close to my wife's friend, so and she was telling me about Dion, this guy. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about people, Mike. Yeah, I don't know about But she was like, no, for real, But she's somebody I respect. She's a smart, smart woman and all that. So I said, you know what? If this person is coming off your recommendation, then I'll give it a shot. And she shared a few things with me, saw a few of the trainings that you were doing with them on the master's program at the time, and I was like, oh wow, these are very new stuff. And then what actually caught my attention the most was futures. I was like, I'd never heard of this in my entire life. Like, I have never
Mhm.
heard about this. So that made me curious. And then it was ZB and ZN, and then she
Mhm.
showed me, I saw the thing. She would take a trade in sim and the thing would just climb up. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you mean
Mhm.
money like this? You know? And, so yeah, it was just, it was word of mouth. It was somebody obviously who was part of your program, who was also a very close friend of mine and my family, and
Mhm.
introduced me to the program. And it's interesting. I need to say this. I need to say this. She actually
Go
told
ahead.
me and a few other folks about trading and all, but I'm the only
Mhm.
one that's sticking with it now. The others, for whatever reason, I'm still trying to reel them back in,
Mhm.
but I'm the only one who stayed with it.
That's a very good point. So a couple of things, right? He was interested in some stuff, and then he came across. I tell you, the energy you put out is the energy you get back, right? He was interested in trading, and he just so happened, right, to talk to the family friend, and they told him about trading and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and he was skeptical at first, and got to see some of the stuff in real life from somebody that he valued their opinion. So we always welcome, referrals, and shout out to everybody who talks about us all the time. Um, and then he got to see it for himself, right? And that's another reason why I do the live trainings, and sometimes I do the free live trading sessions, because sometimes it is, because it's a difficult thing for people to understand sometimes, or they might have their own hurdles that they need to get over. Sometimes it's important for somebody to feel like they can see, feel it, and touch it, and that it's a real person doing it, not just some
Mhm,
random person on the
mhm,
internet, right?
mhm.
um Very, very important. And then also sticking with it,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Sticking with it is a very important thing. It don't happen overnight. And everybody goes on their own journey, right? And so some people it clicks sooner than others. Some people it might take some time, but if you stick with it over time, it will click and it will make sense,
Mhm.
so that you can do your part. Okay, so yeah, those are some good call outs, Victor. So I just got a couple of questions here, and then maybe at the end we can open up for some general questions from the community. But
Absolutely.
so you kind of hit on this a little bit, but I want to ask specifically, like, can you share a bit about your trading background before joining the program?
Yeah, I mean, again, before joining the program, honestly, I had very limited knowledge. I'll say, I had a Robinhood account, which I would trade, just stocks, like I said, for the long run. I got myself absorbed in the whole cryptocurrency world. Uh, I lost unholy amounts of money with that because, again, I was just chasing the wind, had no idea what I was doing. Made a few, made little bits of money here and there, and then obviously got into some long term stocks which I still hold on to till today. Talking about the Apples, the Microsofts, those ones I feel they're still going to be around for the foreseeable future. But other than just the regular stocks and all, I had zero interplay with trading.
Okay. And so, what do you think were your biggest challenges you faced back then?
Yeah. So, when you say back then, is it back when I started trading futures or when I was
Or
just?
both. You can share both. Like
Oh, okay.
before
So,
you kind of really got in the game, you was dibbling dabbling. What do you think your challenges were when you got introduced to the real game and then started playing? Like, what do you think your challenges was on both sides of those?
good. So first off, the regular challenge with trading stocks was the whole day trading limitation. Where you have to have like 25,000
25K.
dollars and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed by God. Again, I'm a person of faith, so my faith has to come into my conversations. I've been blessed by God to have a good life and good career. Quite very modest with my things, except for shoes. Um, but um, but
The sneakerhead.
Oh man,
Sneakerhead.
all kind of shoes, man. Anything
Yeah.
shoes, anything that goes on the foot, I'm there. Anyways, so the $25,000 at some point, I had to make that call out to say, you know what, I have to. That was a challenge. Was I going to put $25,000 in, Robinhood so I can trade, you know, day trade and all that? That was one hurdle, and again, I was able to afford it, so I went on that journey. But it still wasn't really clicking for me because then again, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just listening to news. I had zero idea. I'll just go with the wind, maybe talk to a few friends and all. And that was a challenge. And I felt like if I was not careful, I would lose all my $25,000 in that market easy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a challenge. The challenge of being knowledgeable about what I was trying to do, or the challenge of even being able to raise $25,000 to put in Robinhood. But then as soon as I came across you and futures and all of that, and I realized that I didn't need $25,000, I was kind of mad because I'm thinking to myself, why did I go put $25,000 in stupid Robinhood when I could have put that in like my Ninja Trader account and I could have multiplied?
Uh-huh.
So the challenge now quickly shifted from that to, okay, what am I going to do with myself with respect to this newfound, futures market and all of that? And I tell you, when I came across yourself and we're doing, whether it was Finance Demystified or TWT or eventually Money School, I started trading with my own money because first the challenge was, do I want to commit my money to this thing? Let me trade sim. And you introduced us to simulated trading. So I did all of those. But then the next challenge or hurdle for me to cross was putting my own personal money in the brokerage and trading that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Friends, me scared money makes no money, right? So I said, okay, eventually
Facts.
let me try. I can try with $1,000, right? And I tell you this, I started with $1,000, and in a couple of days, let me just say a week, just for within a week, I was up $15,000 as of Friday that week. Trading with you,
15, 1 5.
yes, I was up 15. Yeah, I started with
Okay.
$1,000, one
And you
thousand,
was up 15K. Yeah.
and I was trading with you because then you used to trade with us, the support resistance line, draw the lines. This was before any algo, right?
Yeah.
Only you had the algo. I remember you would share the screen with us. Only you had the algo, but you get in the trade
Yeah.
and I'll copy it. And I had
Yeah.
no fear. I had no fear. So I could go in, we're trading ES at the time, and I would
Mm-hmm.
trade like 4 contracts, right? No fear. And I would see that thing jump up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is interesting. And I'll do it again the next day, again the next day. And by the time it was day 5, which was Friday, I was up $15,000. Shared screen with my friends, told us like, listen, this thing is the business. Like, this is the way, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but the challenge,
Mhm.
the challenge there for me was one of the things that I violated. Okay, because there's a trader's creed that we used to go through back in the day. And one of the terms of the trader's creed says, I pay myself as the market makes money available to me, right?
Facts.
But I violated that principle. So on that Friday, I should have paid myself.
Yep.
I did not pay myself. And so keep in mind, I'm just in what Dion is doing, and I'm just going with the flow, and it's working. And then I came Monday, I took a bad trade, and I took another bad trade, and I took another bad trade. The $15,000 was gone.
Cooked.
So
Mm-hmm.
the challenge I'm trying to call out there is the challenge of not really having knowledge about what one is doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I paid dearly for it. And of course, the challenge of not paying myself as the market
Mm-hmm.
unavailable to me. Okay, I can
Yeah,
talk.
man.
I think I'm like Dion. I can go on and
Hey,
run too.
go do your thing. This is your highlight session. But
Yeah, but that's
you called a lot of things out there that I also want to kind of like periodically break down for people, because this is open to the public. So people may be in the course, they may not be. I don't know. So I want to make sure that I can make some things plain as well, right? So he bet on himself. He took the course. He believed in it. He started training, and his first week he started using his own real life money. And he put $1,000 in there. And within 5 days, he grew that $1,000 to over $15,000 in profit. Okay. So, first and foremost, that shout out to you. And of course, I can imagine how amazing that feeling is to be skeptical, take the course, bet on yourself, practice it, and next thing you know, you up $15,000, right? You on cloud a million at that time. I can only imagine, right? And so you make $15,000 the first week, but here's a major call out that I always talk to about in general, especially to the newbies, is that anybody can get into the market, click a button, and have a 50-50 chance of the trade going in their favor. That's not trading.
Absolutely.
Anybody can get in and not put their stop loss on, not stop loss on, and not use risk management. That's
Mhm.
not trading. That's gambling. The third thing that he called out was not sticking to the rules. One of the rules that we talk about and that we go over in all of our live sessions is the trader's creed. I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. So if he would have stuck to the rule of paying himself when he made that $15,000 in 5 days, at a very bare minimum, he should have paid himself at least 20% of that. Right. So
Yeah.
then he would have paid himself at least $3,000. He would have closed that psychological feedback loop. He would have felt that money. And what also touching the money helps you do is not blow the rest that's in that account, because you like, this is actually real versus it's just living in the account and you're not touching it, not using it.
Hmm.
Right. So that is another very, very important thing. So it's extremely important to follow the rules to trade. It's
Hmm.
important to follow the rules to protect your money with risk management, and it's also important to follow the rules to pay yourself
Hmm.
and close that loop. You've put all this time, energy, effort, resources, your hard-earned money into it. You bet on yourself. You did everything right, and it worked out for you. Pay yourself, right? That's why it's in the trader's creed. So yes, that is some good call outs. And look, man, answer the questions how you see fit. Like I told you, come as you are, do your thing.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. I just want to periodically chop
Hmm.
up some of those things so that no matter where anybody is in their journey, they can kind of really understand. Okay.
Yep.
So with that, since during the program, you earned over $250,000 in this year alone. So first and foremost, let's just give a round of applause to Victor for that, because that's an amazing feat. And we're going to go over how he went from essentially not knowing anything about these markets, getting introduced to me, getting introduced to futures, getting a amazing start, getting a punch in the mouth, sticking with it, coming back and literally making over $250,000 in
Hmm.
real life money, and payouts and stuff. So we're gonna do a deep dive and all that, but I wanted to specifically call that out and give you your props. So, what key strategies from the program helped you achieve your results?
Right. So that's a very good question. And let me just prefix that just for the because again I try to keep it, try to be very honest and just simplistic with this thing. So I'll tell
Mhm.
you that from that time I lost that $15,000. It took me well over a year, close to 2 years, to actually make money again in the market.
Mm.
Part of it was because actually, no, let me rephrase. It took me about 2 years for me to start making money consistently. Okay.
Okay.
I had one or two bouts where, I'll get $1,000, I'll quickly pay myself, or $2,000 there, quickly pay myself, just little flashes here and there. But to
Mhm.
win consistently took another 2 years. And I have this book here, right? You recommended this book to us. It's called Trading the
One of
Market.
my one of my favorite trading books in the world.
Yeah. And I got to know about this book through that my friend who was in your program. I have about 4 or 5 books that you recommended to them back in the day that I have. One
Mhm.
says The Intelligent Investor,
Mhm.
Infinite Bets.
Mhm.
I can see the title of the other one, The Lessons of a Stock Operator, something like that. Those books, I
Mhm.
got all of them. Okay. But this one really
Mhm.
stayed with me. This one is much more than trading. I see life, practical applications in this. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I decided to start reading, okay, because I was, again, I was frustrated with myself, and I was just trying to reproduce and replicate that success. But I felt like it was time for me to learn, and this book actually helped me see what was missing. Okay, so I recommend
Mhm.
it highly for anybody who wants to trade or
Mhm.
just want to better themselves. Okay, um,
Mhm.
and so I just started, you know, going through that process of learning myself and just paying attention to the trades. And back in the day, when we jump on those Zoom calls in the mornings, they'll be recorded and we have the recordings available to us, right? So one of the things that helped me was I would sit down with the recordings, okay, and just listen and watch and see these things in real time, see a playback of these things. Um, One of the things that really changed my mind was the whole concept of patience and just making data driven decisions. Okay, and I'll see how you sit down and wait for an edge, and I realized I wasn't doing that. I was trading with hope, and hope is
Mm-hmm.
an edge, and that's what I found out for myself.
Yes,
Hope
sir.
is an
Mhm.
edge. A lot of us trade with hope. Oh, I'm hoping the market, because I see, back to Dion's argument, I see the candlestick is going this way, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a buy trend, right? And you get in the trade and you get slapped. Okay, that used to happen to me a lot until I realized that hope is not an edge. I need to, pay attention. And so I watched the videos, see the analysis of how Dion will get in a trade and how, in some cases, also avoid taking a trade. And I feel like, one of the things that helped me was realizing that if I don't make money now and I sit it out, it's okay. I'll
It's
jump on the
okay.
next. You know,
It's okay.
I was there.
Yeah.
I used to listen to those playbacks, and you say things like that. Like, it's okay if we didn't get this trend. So what? The market is going to come back again. And that was something that I needed to, get over. Because again, remember, when you're on the call and people are typing and dropping their wins, they got the trend, and they're up 500, 1,000. Man, that thing used to piss me off. I'm like, okay, so what is, why can't I be there? Right. And I'll
Right.
try to chase the market and I get slapped, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that I couldn't just jump in the market just randomly. So being able to watch
Mm-hmm.
those videos, being able to learn, being able to know what makes it a good trade, what makes it a trade to sit out. And you also made it easy for us in terms of, because you showed us wins, you showed us losses as well. So I realized that, okay, I don't have to win every trade. I just need to make sure that I made a data-driven decision and I took, a trade within the allowable risk parameter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
things that helped me, and the whole concept of failing fast, right? From my project management days and my project management career, I learned about failing fast. So when I start something, when I get in a trade and I realize I shouldn't be in this trade, I cut my loss and I get up gently. Again, the short answer to the question is, the things that helped me was, one, the fact that I was willing to, watch replays and videos and all those kind of stuff just to have better understanding. And one other thing that also helped me was also applying myself, being able to trade with them and test
Mm-hmm.
all madness and see, okay, this works, this does not work, okay, this is going to kill me, this is going to help me. And being able
Mm-hmm.
to do all those kind of stuff, those things really helped me build, confidence in my trading journey. And again, like I said, just for the brother at the back who didn't hear the first time, it took me a few years. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when I first started making money to when I started making money in a more systemic form. So there's a whole concept of time with this thing.
Yeah.
If you're not getting it now, stay with the process.
So let's call out and simplify a bunch of things that he said. First and foremost, that book he held up, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, literally one of my favorite books. Is like a trading Bible. Here's a key thing that he called out. That book was given in the first week of the course, but he didn't pick it up for a year or two and really sit down with it and process what I had been saying for that amount of time. Right. And this is why I tell each person that it's your journey. You're going at your pace. Right. And so he went from week one through all the stuff that he went through that finally forced him to say, you know what? Let me sit back and actually process what Dion be saying. Not just be, because I used to do a lot of live trading with everybody. We used to
Mhm.
trade live every day together, 5 days a week, in some of the other programs, and everybody was making a ton of money. Okay. Good days. Very, 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 very
Good
profitable
days,
days.
man. Good days.
And so the other thing he was saying in there is he would see everybody posting their wins, and people were making 500,000, $2,000, $3,000 a day every day of the week. And so sometimes when you're not really knowing who you are and embracing your part of the journey, that can affect you, right? Because it can give you some FOMO, some fear of missing out. Or you could be looking at yourself like, why am I not doing X, Y, and Z? And why am I not getting the money and da 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 da, right?
Mhm.
So he acknowledgement is the first step. He acknowledged what he was doing in his journey and he slowed the game down. He watched the videos over and over. When you join the program, you have unlimited access to the videos. You
Mhm.
can watch them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So instead of binge watching Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, looking at random podcasts, you can be studying your craft. You can be listening to me coach you through X, Y, and Z, or you could watch the replays and see
Mhm.
me break down these things and really get it to where it gets deep down into your spirit and it starts to really make sense for you. Okay. So that's another main thing he called out in that. And then also he didn't say this exactly, but trusting the process.
Mhm.
He got to a point where he was able to say, okay, this makes sense, but it don't matter if I don't stick with it. Right. I
Mhm.
have to get to a point to where I could trust the process for myself and start staying within my parameters and
Mhm.
be okay with not taking that trade, or be okay with only making a couple $100s a day, or be okay with having a losing trade or a losing day, but
Mhm.
understanding the big picture here is
Mhm.
super, super, super important, right?
Mhm.
Trusting the process. Because when you first join a program or you learning a new language or something like that, it can feel like you're drinking from a fire hose,
Yeah.
right? It can feel overwhelming, but you have to get to a point where you like, you know what? Let me slow the game down for myself. Let me acknowledge where I am, and let me actually trust the process that's laid in front of me and actually try it that way.
Mhm.
And when he started to do that, that's when he saw the difference between being up and down and on the emotional roller coaster to being slow and steady and consistently profitable. And I'm sure also that second part started to build confidence in you and in the doing it the right way.
Mhm.
You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's good as well. Okay, so how did your mindset and your approach to trading change after going through the program, after going through your ups and downs
Mhm.
and getting consistent? Like what started to change and how did it start to change?
Yeah. So again, it goes back to this book, right? The book talks a lot about belief. Talks about taking responsibility, and one of the things that definitely changed for me was, again, the book also said something about losing, right? You have to come to a place of realizing that not every trade is going to win, all right, and not every trade is going to lose. And when you lose, it talks about a winning mentality. Yeah, I needed to talk about that. There's a page here that talks about winning mentality, which means when you go in a trade, you go in there with positive expectation of what's going
Mhm,
to happen. However, you understand that if whatever the outcome is, it's indicative of what you learned or what you don't know. And that
mhm,
changed my mind that when I do all things, having done all to stand, if I take a stand, I realize that I'm not able, my stand is not holding me. So I've done all my analysis, I've looked at the market, I've checked what I need to check, support and resistance and all of that, and I lose the trade, right? I don't I don't take it personal anymore because from the book I realized, and from what you also taught us and the things that you showed us in real time, it's possible for you to make a data-driven decision and not and not turn out to win the trade. What changed for me there was being able to accept the risk or the reward associated with my trade. um, Realizing that when I lose, I don't have to chase the market. I don't have to revenge trade. He used to say that a lot to us. Like, if you revenge trade, you run the risk of losing more money than you lost in the first place. And boy, did we
mhm.
listen? No. Did we revenge trade? Yes. Did we lose? Absolutely yes. Did we win? Yes, we did. Until it finally clicked in my head, like, man, there's a reason why Dion is saying this thing. Why don't you just listen? Right? So it's one of those things that clicked in my head that I'm not going to win every trade, but I need to
Mhm.
ask myself, did I make a data driven decision? So one of the things that changed for me was data driven decisions only, and only take trades that you're willing to accept the risk or the reward, and that was
Man,
that was a major change in my own head in my trading.
That's a beautiful thing because I preach it all day, every day for years, right? And I say it all day, every day, because it's, people are at different places in their financial journey, and at some point it's going to click. But I've been saying the same thing for years. It just so happens that for whatever reason, for whatever you go through, where you at your financial journey, it finally clicks. But what I heard you say was something that we preach in the Traders Creed as well. I am willing to accept the risk, or I am willing to scale back. Right? If you're not keeping it a buck with yourself, first of all, let's backtrack. If you're not making data-driven decisions, then you can't even really accept the risk because you don't even know what you're risking.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Mhm.
you have to make data-driven decisions from the jump, right? You have to make data-driven decisions about your contract sizing, your risk amount, your stop loss and take profit. You have to make risk assessments about what instrument you're trading. Can you handle it emotionally? For some people, the NQ move too fast. For some people, the ZB move too slow. You have to identify these things, and you have to accept. You have to identify it, make a data-driven decision, and you have to accept that risk, right? So you accepted the risk, and you started to realize, like, man, if I lose a trade, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, I'm a winner. Trust me. I'm very good at everything I do. I go into everything thinking I'm a winner, think I'm the best. But
Right.
I also accept that some things sometimes may not work in my favor. And if I did everything that I could, and I did my part, and I
Mhm.
did the data analysis, I studied, I did the back testing, I've waited for the edge patiently, I executed it, and I put my risk parameters on there, I just got to tip my cap because I've done everything that I was supposed to do the way that I was supposed to do it. And that was it. That doesn't guarantee me that I'm going to win, but
Mhm.
it does put me in a higher probability to be successful in that trade and over for the long term if
Yeah.
I just continue to do that in a
Consistent.
step-by-step process every day or every trade,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is life-changing.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
that is like when you accept that and you're able to emotionally detach away from the trade and from the money. And you call out another thing, not taking it personal. One of my favorite books is called The Four Agreements.
Mm.
And in this book like 50 pages. It's just short haymakers, just straight to the point. The Four Agreements. And one of the agreements is to never take anything personal. Anything. It just is what it is. And when you're able to have that lens and have that perspective of everything you're encountering is really just data. You're just processing data. Every single word you hear, thought you hear, um, action you take, interaction you have with anybody, it's just data. And you're just processing it. But how you choose to respond to that data, how you choose to process that data is how you end up affecting your outcome from that data. Okay.
Right.
So super powerful stuff, super powerful book for the Four Agreements. One of my favorite books. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Check
was
it out.
there a particular moment, right? Because you talked about some things that like help change your mindset, but
Mhm.
can you remember if there was like a particular moment or a specific lesson during the program where everything clicked? And
Mhm.
if so, if you do have that moment, how did it impact your trading from then forward?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't say there was a specific moment, but what I would say is it was a succession of moments. And here's the illustration I'll give to you. At the risk of going Bible on you, actually, let me just be.
Man, say what you guys say. Do your be
So
be
here,
your
here's
authentic
the deal.
self, man.
Here's
Yeah,
the
be
deal, right?
yourself.
There are some folks, right? When I look at it, the easiest way I can explain it is a miracle on the way, right? And it's a story of 10 lepers who came to the master, and he says to them, "Go your way," right? And the Bible says, "On their way they were cleansed." So, which means when they left the presence of Jesus, they were still lepers, but
Mm-hmm.
something happened along the way, and they found
Mm-hmm.
out, hold on a second, what we used to think or how we used to feel, we don't feel it anymore. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the illustration that captures what you're asking me. It was one day when I realized that I was making little adjustments to myself and my mindset and the things you say and the courses you were offering us and the books I was reading and the people I was interfacing with in the community. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, I look back and I realize, hang on a second, I've been on this journey for 1 year. Hang on a second, I've been on this journey for 2 years. Hang on a second. The things I didn't know before, I know them now. Things I used to do,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do them anymore. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
it was a case of making incremental tweaks and adjustments and improvements to myself on the account of what I was learning, what I was exposed to, what you were saying to us repeatedly, and what I was seeing
Mm-hmm.
in the book I was reading. And it got to a place where it just happened along the way. And I look back and I'm like, hang on a second. I'm no longer leprous. I'm cured of leprosy. Now I can move.
Mm-hmm.
I can do my
Mm-hmm.
own thing without violating the rules. So they were no longer like rules for me anymore. They were now culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traders Creed was
Mm-hmm.
not just a creed. It was culture. It was a way of life. It was
You
something that
began to embody it. You
exactly.
became it.
I
Mm-hmm.
became it. You see that?
Yeah.
So I think that's the way that I can explain that thing for me. So I think it was a present continuous, and it still is a present continuous thing. Where you just keep reminding yourself of the things that you've been exposed to, the things you know, and it just happens along the way, and you just keep getting better, slightly better, slightly better. Better in terms of your profit, better in terms of dealing with the days when you lose. All of a sudden, if I lose money, I'm like, okay, so what? It's okay. I'll be back tomorrow.
Mhm.
It is what it is.
And it is what it is. And this is, if you all notice, always pay attention to the words that I use, when I use them, why I use them, how I use them. This is why I always call it your financial journey. It's a journey, it's a process. So, Victor gave a religious parable because that's what helps him understand it and relate. If you're not a religious person, think about gold. Gold has to go through the fire to be refined and be in its purest form, right? So in that parable, they left and they had to go on the way, right? If you think about diamonds, diamond have to go through heat, pressure, and time to become its shiniest form, right?
Mhm,
So another person will say, if you going through hell, go through it, keep
mhm,
going, right, until you reach that other side. And so that's a very powerful thing. It's the small adjustments that
mhm,
you can make over time that end up adding up. And that's why I tell everybody to slow the game down and focus on building good habits. This is why I start you in the sim, so you can take the bumps and bruises without risking your money, without risking other people's money, because those things affect you psychologically, even if you don't know and understand it. And so I explain a lot of this stuff because I didn't go the traditional route to Wall Street, right? So I went through a lot of, if not all of the emotional swings, the ups and downs, the questions, the comments, the thoughts to yourself, those days where you lose and can't nobody talk to you because you hot, you know, and having all of those experiences and taking all those bullets for you all and just simplifying it and giving it to you straightforward, right? Sometimes, especially when we used to trade live with y'all every day of the week, I would say I'm spoiling y'all too much. You know what I'm
true.
saying? I'm not really giving y'all the opportunity to grow on your own because if Dion take the trade, I'm taking the trade. I see how much money he make
Absolutely.
every day. I'm just gonna click the button and copy him. But
Absolutely.
you wasn't necessarily really learning it. So days I wasn't trading or days I didn't show up, people like, well, Dion ain't trading, I ain't trading. But that's not you really learning and knowing. That's you just, first of all, that's you just following somebody in the market, right?
Mhm,
And even though I'm expressing, learn the stuff, take the course, slow down and process it. It's so, because we're so emotionally attached to the money, especially in the beginning, all we like is, I'm just here. I need to get my money back for this course. I just made $5,000. I got to pay these bills. The rent is due on the 1st of the 15th. I just seen somewhere I can now just go in and get this market. I need to get all this money right now, today, in this one trade, right? Instead of just really embracing it, going through and trusting the process, taking it one step, one day, one trade at a time. Because, like, I can say this as a personal experience. When you first see that market and you see all that money right there
Yeah.
every day, and the way I make it simple and I make it plain, and you like, no, it's right. No, it's right. I can see it right there,
Mm-hmm.
and I need all of that. Right.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a battle. It's literally like the two little things on your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Fear and
Yeah.
greed, and you literally just battling between it because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah, good call out. Okay, so you've managed to, achieve some impressive financial milestones this year, right? So for people who are joining late, Victor has made over $250,000 in trading futures this year, real life money payouts and stuff like that. We may get into that in a second, but what role did the community and support from the program play in your success?
Yeah, I mean, everything, everything. I mean, next to God, it's the community. Next to God is Dion. Next to Dion is the community.
Whoa,
Uh,
hey, don't don't
break it down.
don't put me on
Let's
under
break
that
it down.
pressure
Let's
right
break
there.
it down, okay? So the way it works, the way it's worked for me so far is, Dion has been able to, afford us the opportunity to have a community. Before now, it was, was it Slack, um, and Kajabi, and now Discord. Um, I'll say that some of the influential people in my trading career I met in the community, and some of them are still part of the community. Some of them are not. I still have a good relationship with some of them, even though they may no longer be with the program or something like that. Some of the people that are really very close to me, beyond trading and even in my life personally today, are on this call. I see Miss Pam. Shout out to Miss Pam. Miss Pam is
Hey, what up,
she's
Miss Pam?
she's a fantastic woman. Like I've told her she needs to adopt me as her son, and include me in her will. We're still working on that. Still working on that. And of course, Miss Jimenez as well. Fantastic women who've just been kind to me. And of course, a couple other guys as well who may not be on here. So the ability to just be able to bounce off ideas. And when I tell you, Miss Pam is one of the smartest women that I've ever met, it's amazing. She's like twice and a half my age, but she's one of the smartest people that I know. Like, if I have a question, I call her. Like, Miss Pam, can you explain this to me? Like, if I read an article, um, I'm like, okay, Miss Pam, this is above my pay grade. Break it down for me in ways I can understand. And she
Mm-hmm.
explained to me, and it's interesting. So there's no age barrier to this thing. I don't feel like I'm smart because I'm younger, and all that kind of stuff. I have people who just walk me through, explain things to me, and we share knowledge together. And I can tell them, oh, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I have to thank you for giving us that privilege to be able to build community, and that has really helped me a lot. And it's helped me on my good days because I can rejoice with them. It's helped me on my bad days. Like I said, I can call, folks from here and say, listen, man, I had a bad day. I lost this amount of money. And they just encourage you and say, listen, we also lost money. And I won't lie, sometimes when I call people and they tell me they lost money, I'm happy. I'm not happy that they lost money, but I'm happy that, oh, okay, so it happens to everybody too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
being, some people can just lie to you and say, "Oh, you know what? I made $3,000 today," and make you feel even worse with yourself, right? But they
Right.
just mess with you and say, "Listen, I didn't lose that much, but I lost a little bit of money. I made a bad call. So hey, it happens to every one of us." That has really
Mm-hmm.
helped me, honestly, Dion. And I tell you the truth, it's gone beyond trading for me now. The relationship that I have with people from this community, for some people, is beyond trading. It's life. It's
Mm-hmm.
real life conversations. We talk about things that bother on my life, my family. I've met their families, and you know, been to Houston to see a few people and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, community is everything.
Nice. Nice.
Take
It's a
advantage.
beautiful thing, man. Thank you for sharing that because
Mhm.
it's a very important part of what we do. Because when we got to this and wanted to do this, we wanted to build a community, right? And it's important because overall, the minority community, our community, we really need that community aspect in this world, right?
Mhm.
It's so much easier to get a bunch of people to get together, go to a game, or get some people together to go get a table at the club and all of that.
Mhm.
But it's like pulling teeth trying to get people together and talk about money, talk about financial education, talk about investing, talk about trading. So being around the like-minded people, and that's why we even created the free group. Now you got the free version of the Trade Like the Pros program in the Discord, where we could just get people in there and you could just talk and ask questions and build your courage up to maybe join the course. But you can see and talk to real people who have been through real life things and are taking this thing seriously, because it's nothing like being the only person in your friend or family group that's always talking about money or
Mhm.
talking about investing or talking about trading. And so it's good because this literally becomes your money family, right? You know what I'm saying? And people that you could um share your thoughts and your conversations and your wins and your losses with. So the community aspect, I'm super honored and grateful to hear that, and thank you for that. And that
Mhm.
is a big part of what we do. So we tell people about it all the time, whether they're in the free version, whether they're in Trade Like the Pros, the course, or whether they're in the inner circle. Like
Mhm.
the community part is very, very powerful. Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you could speak to your younger self before you started trading, based on what you know now, what would you say?
Oh, simple. I'll say find Dion, join this course, pay attention to the class. Actually, I mean, again, I'll say that. But again, I'll also say, again, this is Dion's platform, right? But maybe you don't resonate with Dion. Maybe Dion is not your guy. That's fine. Find somebody that can teach you something that you can listen to and follow.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
before you choose somebody to follow, make sure they know where they're going.
Facts.
Otherwise, you're gonna just end up in the ditch. So
And
if
they
you
know how to get there. And they
exactly,
know how to get there, and they know how to get there repeatedly, and they can show you how to get there. Because the other thing is, every successful person is not a good teacher,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Everybody can't, they might not even be, might be able to do it naturally. That's why Michael Jordan said he never coached. He like,
Mhm.
because he just did it. He
Mhm.
like, this is what I do. I can't
Exactly.
necessarily teach you what I do, but I can do it. Right. So
Ex-
that's another thing. It's like get a mentor that helps you accelerate your learning curve.
Mhm.
Get a mentor that has proven and executed what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then get a mentor that can also teach you how to do that. If that just so happens to be me, cool. Welcome to the family. If it's not, cool. It is what it is. But yes, get you
Exactly.
a get you a trade, get you a mentor, and get somebody that can explain and teach it to you. And then you got to do your part,
Mhm.
right? What Victor is talking about in here, he did his part, right? And that has helped him start to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's good. So simple question: why do you love trading futures so much?
That's easy because it's instant. I don't have to wait. I don't have to fast and pray. I don't have to consult the universe. I don't have to speak to somebody. I go here, click my button, I see my money. Like Dion was saying, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie, futures don't lie. Click it,
It's very,
see your money, you get it out as quickly as possible, and that was it for me. The fact that you can trade with, as little as your pocket can allow within your risk parameters, and you can make the money, and the money can be available to you without any, you don't have to speak in
Mhm.
tongues, do anything. So
Absolutely.
no brainer.
It's one of the most powerful asset classes on the planet, and 80 to 90% of the planet don't even know it exists.
Mhm.
And it's been around longer than most asset classes on the planet. And it's very binary. You either gonna be right or you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna be profitable or you're gonna lose. But either way, you're gonna know. The other beautiful thing, especially about the platform that we use with Ninja Trader, especially if you're using your real live personal money, you can
Mhm.
get paid out the same day. So
Absolutely.
if you put your request in by 12 o'clock Eastern, that money will be in your account by 4:30 p.m. Eastern that same day. And
Mhm.
so, one of the things that I do is basically every dollar that I make every day trading, I send myself 50% of the final profits, right? So if we're trading from 9:30 to 11 and I just made $5,000, $10,000 that day, that 2,500 or that $5,000 will be in my account this afternoon. And that's life changing because the average person, if the average American salary is $60,000 a year, that's $5,000 a month. After taxes, that might be like 3,500, 4,000, right?
Mhm.
And you divide 4,000 divided by 20
And they-
days,
That's
right?
80.
That's
100
$200 a day,
euros. Okay.
essentially, right? Um, that's $200 a day. So if a person is making $200 a day, they got to work an 8-hour shift. They got to get up. They got to get dressed. They got to go through traffic. They got to work with people they don't like. They got to answer the bosses they don't care for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or you could be butt naked on a beach with some internet access and click a button and make $1,000 in 15 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that money be in your account the same day.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. It's different.
Absolutely.
And then futures is also one of the only asset classes where, yes, you can get in the game for only $500, but then you can get in the game without even using your own money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because one of the hurdles that people have with joining the course is like, oh man, well, if I join the course, I might not have no money to invest. Because I also want people to, join if they can afford it. But we eliminated that excuse. Because now you can join the course, take the program, and you ain't even got to risk your own money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Beautiful thing. So now that you've had this success,
Mm-hmm.
have you set any other goals in investing or trading?
Oh yeah. Yes. 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 I'm I'm okay to share that. So first off, my first goal, long term, let me not say long term goal. My mid-term goal is to hit $1 million in terms of payouts. Okay. Second off is generational wealth, because I've come to a place of contentment now that I've seen the futures market. One of the things that has happened to me is I've come to realize that there are levels to this thing. Like Dion would say, our own money is like a tiny drop compared to the real big boys who play in this market, right? And my own little drop is life changing for me and can be life changing for my family, my generation. Okay. So one of the things that I've learned through one of the programs that Dion also put us through, GWM from back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
about generational planning, generational wealth planning. Okay. So one of the things that I have in mind is to hit $1 million, have a plan in place for generational wealth, and to make sure that my great grandchildren who may never see me, but they will know that a great grandfather lived who had some money. Okay. And also teach them,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know pass this knowledge across. So it's generational wealth and kingdom wealth. Again, as a person of faith, it's about, I want to see people off the streets. I want to see hungry people get fed. I'm Nigerian first and foremost before American. I want to see people go to school. I want to see the kids go to school. I want to see, the roads built. I want to see hospitals built and all those good stuff. So the goal for me is I want to make $1 million of money for myself personally, and then scale it to such a way where, I can end up helping um, not just my immediate family and my bloodline, but put food on people's table, clothes on people's back. I have a dream that one day I write off people's mortgages and all those kind of stuff. And those are the kind of things, if goals that I keep in front of me that make me wake up every morning to hit and click the computer. So I'm
Beautiful.
gradually going beyond just me and into um, reaching out, being a blessing beyond myself.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that's a testament to your mind and your heart. And look, if you thought your way into this course and you thought your way into success, you could think your way into reaching those goals, right?
Absolutely.
And I also want to use this as a wave of encouragement. Here is a student who never knew futures existed, who has made $250,000 this year, and he's saying his next goal is to hit $1 million. And remember, I've always said you only need one strategy or one asset class to make $1 million, right? So here's somebody outside of me, outside of Dom, being living proof, showing you that you could do it too, right? No matter where you start at, no matter where you are in your financial journey, right? Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you are right. It all starts in your mind first, right? So if you believe you could do it, your faith, is going to be shown by your works. Everything you do is going to be taking you towards that goal, right?
Mhm.
If you truly believe, because true belief inspires action. Okay. And so
Mhm.
my last question before, I may open it up to the community.
Sure.
Um, for someone who's thinking about joining Trade Like the Pros, but is still on the fence, what
Mhm.
advice would you give them based on your experience?
Right. Very simple. I tell them, listen, there's no, I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. It works. And so if it works, just work it. And um, I'm living testament and proof. And several people, again, back to what Dion was saying, men lie, women lie, results don't lie, numbers don't lie. So when you're seeing people who came from zero knowledge to being able to learn and being able to do stuff for themselves, it shows you that it works. Okay. So for me, if you're still sitting on the fence, I'll say, give the program a try and come with open mind to be able to um, learn, to be able to expose yourself to realities and apply yourself to it, and then come back and determine if it works or if it doesn't work. And I can assure you that if you learn, if you pay attention to it, and you utilize the community around you, you will realize that it works. And if it works and it produces results, then I mean that that pretty much just answers the question. But if you're on the fence, give it a try. And if you don't have the money to try, speak to somebody who is part of the program. That's how I got to know about Dion. Somebody who was in his program already showed me one or two things. I parlied up with her, showed me a few things, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this by myself.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff. Okay, we got a couple of more minutes if you open to it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Victor.
I'm okay. I'm open.
If anybody in the community will take about, maybe 3 to 5 questions,
Mhm.
um, and kind of go from there. If you have a question, go ahead, raise your hand or hop up on the mic. Um, and we will let Vic answer accordingly if you have any questions. If you don't, then we will wrap this. I don't want to take too much of everybody's time, but if you have a question or a comment or a thought, um, yes. Actually, I got one more question. I'm sorry. Go, and Felicia and Jane, I'm gonna give y'all a second. Okay, because we didn't really talk about the money and we didn't talk about the trading. Talk to us real quick about how you went from zero to $250,000 this year, and in the middle of that, got laid off of your job. I do want you to talk about that real quick.
Okay, so very quickly, that was a catalyst. The last thing you said here was a catalyst. But remember, like I said to you, when I first found out about you, I was looking and thinking to myself, what's going to be my way forward with respect to being able to control my own financial future. If I'm just waiting for a paycheck, again, I was being rewarded quite handsomely. I was doing quite well. Six-figure job, not just ordinary level six-figure, but good six-figure. You know what I mean? So I was quite okay. But I figured whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. So I had to go to my job, like you would say, work with people who don't care about you, work with people you probably don't care for, and all that stuff. And I didn't like that. Um, so that was the first catalyst for me in the back of my head. However, when I found out that the job market was becoming unsafe and people were getting laid off left, right, and center, I was like, okay, it's time for me to do something different with my life and plan for the rainy day. And one fateful day, I logged into work because I work from home, and they just told me, oh, just that whole spiel, a whole bunch of nonsense. That didn't make sense. My manager couldn't even explain or articulate herself as to what was going on. But I was okay because I'd learned some skills through money school, trade like the pros as we call it now. And I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna make so much money that I'm not going to look back and have to apply for anybody's job again. Like if any recruiter were to call me, I'm just gonna respond to them in a way that will make them know that don't call this guy, because I'm gonna tell them, okay, you know what, this is how much I make now. Can you match
Mhm,
this? And can you 2x this? If you can't, don't call this number again. You know.
mhm.
And that was really the catalyst for me. At the end of the day, I can say all things now work together for good for me. So it was just that, and I just started. Since I had no other job, this is what I was doing. I didn't have any distraction. I just wake up in the morning, sit down here, log in like my regular job, and I, spend as much time as I need getting good trades. And thankfully, through uh, prop firms and all of that, I was able to keep trading and get funded accounts, and I was able to draw my payouts.
Hmm. Nice. Thank you for sharing that. And so you talked about when you first joined my program, you started with $1,000 in your live account and you made $15,000 in 5 days. What's
Mhm.
the most you've made now, maybe in one day or one week since then?
Well, I can say that there've been times when I made about $20,000 in a day. You know, um,
Nice.
been times when it's been below that. It's been times when I lost $20,000 in a day too. You know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
I've seen some of those days. I've seen weeks where I've made I've made $20,000 repeatedly for 3 or 4 days. I've seen some of those days. I've seen days where it's been just a $200 day, and I'm okay with it.
Beautiful.
One
Beautiful.
other thing that I wanted to also share. I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
take
go ahead.
this
Go
time.
ahead.
Years ago, I was sharing with some of my friends who are on this call. I have a blueprint of how to make $1 million. So when I say I want to make $1 million, it's not just wishful thinking. There's a
Hmm.
strategy,
Hmm.
there's a plan, there's a template that I have in
Beautiful.
accomplishing that. So what I'm going to say to everybody is whatever your goals are, you got to break it down into something sizable and realistic to where you can say, okay, I can knock this out one day at a time, one week at a time, one month at a time, whatever the strategy is. But I have a strategy, I have a
Hmm.
plan, and I've shared with one or two people on this call. At least Miss Pam has the blueprint, Miss Jimenez has that blueprint, and they keep me accountable and honest with it. Okay,
Hmm.
from time to
Beautiful. That is a beautiful thing to share. And it's so important. I talk about this in the inner circle that the closer you are to the more defined your goals and visions and dreams are, the closer you are to them. Because then you can make a plan to get you from point A to point B. And if you don't do that, then it's going to be harder to really attain that because you don't have any clarity,
time.
right? And then knowing what you want also is half the battle. If you don't even know that you want to make $1 million, right? Then how do you think you're gonna make $1 million? Right. The other thing is not selling yourself short. If you truly believe that you can do anything you put your mind to, then why would you dream small?
Hmm.
If you truly believe that you get what you want, then why wouldn't you dream bigger? Right? And so a quick blueprint, everybody. $1 million trader is somebody that can make $3,968 per day because there are 252 trading days in a year. So, and if I've taught you how to make that amount, you could drop a dollar sign in the chat box, okay? But $3,968 a day, 252 trading days, you could be $1 million trader per year, okay? And that's extremely, extremely, extremely doable with what I teach you. Felicia, go ahead with your question.
All right, Victor, thanks for coming on. Dion, thanks for putting it together. So Victor, you made me take a look in the mirror today with some stuff that you said. We must have been in some courses together. Some of those books you talked about, I've got them on my shelf and I haven't read them. So, I mean, you brought a lot of stuff to light today, and I appreciate that.
Thank
So
you.
you put some powerful, powerful stuff out today. So
Thank
I
you.
had two questions for you.
Sure.
One is, what is your favorite strategy? And then two, I know you said it took you about 2 years where you were just up and down, up and down. And I wanted to ask, what made you stay with it? Because I was with Dion a few years ago and I left because I just couldn't get it. And now I'm back and I'm definitely not leaving this time. So, kind of what made you stay with it through that time of, that big struggle?
Mhm. Okay, I think we'll start with the second question. That's easier. What made me stay with it? Simple. I wanted to control my own financial life and fortune. I think that whole concept of control has been a thing for me. Not in every area of my life, but when it comes to my financial fortune, I didn't leave Africa to come here and just count the bridges here. I didn't leave motherland to come here and be a slave again. That was big deal in my head, right? And that was one reason why failure was never an option for me. That I was losing money, but I kept finding a way to stay with it because I believed also that it could work. Because when I trade with Dion and I see him making money, I'm like, bruh, this thing works. And then when I trade with myself, and I've made money before, like I said, my first week I made $15,000. So that told me that I could do this. I just needed to recalibrate and reset myself properly. So that was one of the reasons that made me stay. So I wanted to make a statement to myself that I can succeed. Second of all, I didn't want my financial fortune to be determined by the white lady or somebody else. Simple. Those were the two things that just made me keep going. And of course, thirdly, the support that we have from Dion and the community and all of that goes without saying. My favorite strategy, well, Dion knows I'm an OG. I love my old money school algos. Um, I love my X Factor algos. I I do a combination of support and resistance lines, and I check the. I basically, honestly, my strategy is everything Dion used to do with us back in the day: support, resistance, homework levels. I don't complicate things. I check the time and I check the volume. So my chart, I have about three, four charts at the same time. It's okay with me. I'm okay because I understand it. Okay. For some people, they just want the Maverick or the Trojan or whatever new thing Dion has. And I love all those powerful tools. Don't get me wrong. But I'm OG like that. And I don't want to change anything popular. Okay. So myself and my friends, we have our charts. I check the shorter time, like back in the day. I check my longer time. I have a screenshot of Dion's screen from back in the day. That's what I'm doing. I'm not reproducing anything new. I'm not trying to do anything new. I check time. I check volume. I check support and resistance. And Dion used to tell us something back in the day that stayed with me. The market is always going to repeat itself. Okay, so I see what the market is doing, and I'm convinced that if we did this before, we can do this again. And now we have the powerful tool of the algo that runs on the side for me that helps me get in a trade. It doesn't get any better than that. So I don't know if that answered your question. Support resistance, homework levels, and then my algos confirmation tell me that, okay, I'm thinking.
Yeah, Vic got my DMs on fire from all the OGs talking about the legacy algos, because the legacy algo is supposed to be sunset on December 31st. But yeah, shout out to my OG. Shout out to you, Victor. Thank you for answering that. Did that answer your question, Miss Felicia? Okay, hopefully it did. She on mute right now.
Yeah.
Miss Jane, did you have your hand up? Were you trying to hop up on the mic? I think. If not, let me know. If you're talking, you're on mute. But I thought I heard Miss Jane or seen her thing pop up.
Oh, no question, but thank you.
Okay.
This
Okay.
has been great. And I really enjoyed your analogy in regards to the lepers. That's awesome. And that resonated with me. So thank you for sharing the way you shared. I really your faith has I know it's a big part in your life and I see that.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much and thank you, Dion.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, Cassie say shout out to Dion. Thank you for all the help. Yeah, it's my pleasure, everybody. Thank you, Victor. I really appreciate it. Congrats again on all the success. Congrats again on all of the money. And I'm looking forward to continue to root for you to reach those goals and dreams. We do have some seven-figure traders in the community. They are probably the most quiet people you would need. They send me the stuff. They send me Victor for a long time was super quiet too. Victor just kind of came out a little bit more publicly, like in the last 6 months, because he's been crushing it for a while. But one of my goals with Inner Circle is I want to create our first 8-figure trader. So we have 3-figure traders, 4-figure traders, 5-figure traders, 6-figure traders. And today we talked to 2 of our 6-figure traders. We do have 7-figure traders in the course. They super quiet. One day I may be able to convince them. But also 2 of our 7-figure traders damn near got 4 or 5 of their family members in the course. So that's another reason why they kind of super quiet, because they I don't really want certain people in my family knowing I got all this bread. But
Fair enough.
So it's real. I always ask people permission and say, hey, are you okay with this? You comfortable with me sharing this, or are you open to doing this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so thank you for the people who are willing to share. I really appreciate it. And I know the community appreciates it. And shout out to you again, Vic. And next up, I think on Thursday, we got Miss Lisa, who's going to, share her journey and share her wins. And if you are one of the OGs or you're in, Trade Like the Pros, in the programs, and you want to share your story or share your success, for sure, shoot me a DM and we can get one of these scheduled. Khalid just said, I will be one of your 8-figure traders. Let's get it. If you believe you can,
I believe
you will. Okay, you believe it in your first, in your mind first. So that's one of my challenges to myself, is to create our first 8-figure trader out of the community. So shout out to you all. And this is and it doesn't matter if it's 8 figures, right? I mean, it does matter because I specifically want to do something 8 figures, but it doesn't matter where you are in your financial journey. Remember, the two people we highlighted today never knew futures existed, never traded futures, never heard of futures before they joined the program. And they are, 6-figure and multiple 6-figure traders. So again, if they can do it, you can do it. Okay. So congratulations again. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to post these replays on the YouTube channel. And when they're done loading up, and we'll send you all the links so you can watch this and have this as well. Shout out to you, Miss Pam. Miss Pam, one of the OGs. Tiffany, one of the OGs. Shout out to the OGs in here coming to support the boy, Vic. I appreciate you guys. Love, light, peace, wealth, great health, and abundance to each you all. Have a great day, and I will see you when I see you. All right. Peace.